Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Sodanandana Braja Janaranjana Sodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Panachari Yamuna Tira Panachari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Sodanandana Braja Janaranjana Sodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Panachari Yamuna Tira Panachari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Sodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Panachari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Radha Shama Sundara Shama Sundara Radha Shama Sundara
What do you also have? What do you also have there? Electronic and money for every Friday.
Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Gaura Hare. Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Gaura Hare, Gaura 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 Hare, Gaura 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 Hare, Gaura 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 Hare, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango, Jai Gaura Hare. Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango, Jai Gaura Hare, Gaura 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 Hare, Gaura 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 Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, श्री भक्त वेदांत शास्त्र गोपाद की जय। एवं विष्णुपाद परमहंस पर विराज का आचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमती श्री भक्त सिद्धांत ठाकुर गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। आनंद कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नवाचार्य श्रीदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। गौ प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि गो। All was emulated Hare Krishna. All was emulated Hare Krishna. All was emulated Hare Krishna. All Shri Guru and Gauranga. गोपाल भट्ट गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद आविर्भाव महामहोत्सव की जय। गोपाल की जय। गौर भक्त मुंद की जय। ओम विष्णु पदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निधान नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवाद पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। Thank you for joining. Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, Karma Yoga, Action and Krishna Consciousness, verse number 1 to 6. It is also called Karma Sannyas Yoga. So 1 to 6 is the first section. We'll try to cover that. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamaśloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Hari Om Tat Sat. 5.1 Arjuna Vacha Sannyasam Karmanam Krishna Punaryogam Cha Samsasi Yasreyayetayorikam Tanme Bruhi Sunischitam. Arjuna Vacha Sannyasam Karmanam Krishna Punaryogam Cha Samsasi Yasreyayetayorikam Tanme Bruhi Sunischitam. What word? Arjuna Vacha. Arjuna said, Sannyasam, renunciation, Karmanam, of all activities, Krishna, O Krishna, Punah, again, Yogam, devotional service, Cha, also, Samsasi, you are praising, Yat Uch, Sreya, is more beneficial. Yetayo, of these two, Ekam, one, Tat, that, me, unto me, Bruhi, please tell, Su Nischitam, definitely. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Gopal Prabhupada ki jai. Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all you ask me to renounce work and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? Please repeat. Arjuna said, Oh, first of all you ask me to renounce work then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? Verse number 2. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Sannyasa Karma Yogascha Nishreyasa Karabhubhau Tayostu Karma Sannyasa Karma Yogo Visishyate. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Sannyasa Karma Yogascha Nishreyasa Karabhubhau Tayostu Karma Sannyasa Karma Yogo Visishyate. Sri Bhagavan Vacha, the personality of Godhead said, Sannyasa, renunciation of work, Karma Yoga, work in devotion, Cha also, Nishreyasa Karau, leading to the path of liberation. Ubhau, both. Tayo, of the two, but karma sannyasa, in comparison to the renunciation of duty work. Karma yoga, work in devotion. Visishyate is better. Translation. The personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotion service is better than renunciation of work. Please repeat. The personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation, but of the two, work in devotion service is better than renunciation of work. Verse number 3. ज्ञेय स नित्य सन्यासी यो न द्वेष्टि न कांक्षति निर्द्वंद्वो हि महाबाहो सुखं बन्धात् प्रमुच्यते ज्ञेय स नित्य सन्यासी यो न द्वेष्टि न कांक्षति निर्द्वंद्वो हि महाबाहो सुखं बन्धात् प्रमुच्यते ज्ञेय should be known sa hi nitya always sannyasi renouncer yahu none ever dveshti abhors na not kankshati desires nirdvandvaha free from all dualities he is certainly mahabaho almighty on one sukham happily bandhat from bondage pramuchate is completely liberated translation one who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activity is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. O mighty armed Arjuna, repeat, one who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. O mighty armed Arjuna. Verse number 4. Just check. Okay, it is recording. सांख्ययोगो पृथग्बाला प्रवदन्ति न पंडिता एकम् अपि आस्थितः सम्यक् उभयोर्विन्दते फलम् सांख्ययोगो पृथग्बाला प्रवदन्ति न पंडिताः एकम् अपि आस्थितः सम्यक् उभयोर्विन्दते फलम्. What word? Sankhya, analytical study of the material world. Yoga, work in devotion service. Pratak, different. Bala, the less intelligent. Pravadanti, say. Na, never. Pandita, the learned. Ekam, in one. Api, even. Astita, being situated. Samyak, complete. Ubayo, of both. Vindate, enjoys. Phalam, the result. Translation. Only the ignorant speak of devotion service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies well to one of these paths achieves the results of both. Just repeat. Only the ignorant speak of devotion service, karma yoga, as being different from analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the result of both. Next verse. Verse number 5. Yat sankhye prapyate sthanam tad yogairapi gamyate ekam sankyam cha yogam cha ya pasyati sapasyati. यत् सांख्यै प्राप्यते स्थानं तद् योगैरपि गम्यते एकं सांख्यं च योगं च यः पश्यति स पश्यति यत् सांख्यै प्राप्यते स्थानं तद् योगैरपि गम्यते एकं सांख्यं च योगं च यः पश्यति स पश्यति. About word yat what sankhya by means of sankhya philosophy prapyate is achieved sthanam place tu tat that yoga by devotion service api also gamyate one can attain ekam one sankyam analytical study cha and yogam action devotion cha and yeah one who pasyati sees sa he pasyati actually sees. Translation. One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees Analytical study and devotion service to be on the same level. Sees things as they are. Repeat. One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotion service, and who therefore sees the analytical study and devotion service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. What's number 6? This is the last verse of this section. Sannyasasthu mahabaho dukkam aptum mayo gatah योगयुक्तो मुनेर्ब्रह्मा न अचिरेणाधिगच्छति संन्यासस्तु महाबाहो दुःखम् आप्तुम् मयो गतः योगयुक्तो मुनेर्ब्रह्मा न अचिरेणाधिगच्छति sannyasa, the renounced lot of life, too, but mahabaho, O mighty armed one, dukkam, distress, aptum, afflicts one with ayogataha, without devotion service. Yoga Yukta, one engaged in devotion service. Muni, a thinker. Brahma, the supreme. Na chirena, without delay. Adhigachati, attains. Translation. Merely renouncing all activities yet not engaging in devotion service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotion service can achieve the supreme without delay. Repeat, merely renouncing all activities yet not engaging in devotion service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotion service can achieve the supreme without delay. We'll stop here. We'll try to understand. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Gnananjana Salakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langete Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Iswaram Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। वैष्णव जय जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं श्री रूप गोस्वामी रूपाल की जय गोपाल की जय गौर भक्तों की जय so we're thank you all for joining. We're ready, discussing today from Bhagavad Gita chapter 5 Karma Yoga Action and Krishna Consciousness, where the connection first of all understand what Arjuna is going through. So Arjuna so far, as Lord Krishna is explaining after surrendering to Lord Krishna, he asked the first question after Lord Krishna explaining in the second chapter. It is called Contents of Gita Summarized. After he surrendered, he discussed in detail because he has expressed 5 doubts. I don't want to fight because there is no enjoyment. I don't want to fight because of simple activity. I don't want to fight destruction of dynasty. I don't want to fight because of compassion, my own family members. You didn't fight with your own spiritual master, your guru, your family members, but why are you asking me to fight? And finally, I'm not able to decide what to do, to go to forest or fight. This was the criteria or condition in which where he surrendered. Until that point, he didn't surrender. He was just asking. He was just discussing as a friend, Lord Krishna as a friend. But when he came to the point where he couldn't go any further, mind was reeling everything. He sat down on the chariot. He is the one who asked Lord Krishna to bring the chariot in between the two armies. That's how the context began. Then Lord Krishna, understanding his situation, dilemma, his doubts. So immediate doubt has to be removed. So that is the understanding of the body and the soul. So that's why chapter 2 start with starting fundamental aspect of Sankhya Yoga. Here also in this chapter we are seeing that first section Sankhya Yoga, and then gradually, which is Sankhya Yoga means nothing but all it has to do with soul and the body, the difference between the soul and the body, analytical study of the soul and the body. That is predominantly the it from the chapter 2. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam talks in great detail of the 26 elements, the whole creation and everything. But Bhagavad Gita will not talk in that great detail. Basic fundamental has to be given. And neither there is a time to explain that detail. Neither Arjuna needs at that point. He is do or die and fighting situation. And then he went on to, okay, forget about this body and soul. As a Kshatriya, you are supposed to do dharma, fight. That he brings up karma aspect, he brings. Sankhya Yoga is done. Sankhya Yoga also called sometimes Jnana Yoga. Then Karma Yoga, he began. 30 to 40. Then he started describing about Nishkama Karma Yoga. Now he understood karma, duty, but you have to do above that. You have to go beyond that. Without results, you should do the duty. Then that will benefit. That will save you from greatest danger. That is the benefit. Why you should be attached to the result. And then further is that you have to go beyond that also. Then you have to come to the samadhi stage. You have to come to that highest destination. So before that, when he explained about Nishkama Karma Yoga, Arjuna asked the first and foremost question in the 2.54, the fifth chapter. Today we are discussing, that is the third question. First question is asked, or fourth question. Today's, I think, we'll see. I think fifth question. Sorry, fifth question we are seeing today. The first question is asked in 2.54, where Arjuna is asking, you are telling that this is self-realized soul, you will not be affected by any of these. You'll so then he asked, who is that? How do I recognize that person? How does he walk? How does he sit? What is his characteristics? What is his behavior? How does he walk in his life? Walking literally doesn't mean walking, neither sitting doesn't literally mean sitting. Actually, how he how he acts in his own life. So that's how he takes when he goes through situation. How does he take? That's why he uses the example of tortoise. How tortoise controls. So that's what it means. Those four aspects of science are self-realized. That's why it is Sthita Pragnastakam. You can say from 56 all the way to 54 he is asking question, then 55 to all the way to almost 70, 69 or so was describing about the Sthita Prajna, who he is, one who is self-realized, what characteristics he has, what is qualities, that is being described. The first time, many times he describes in different way, same thing, aspect in a different way. As he gains more and more knowledge, he explains in different way. So that is the chapter 2 condensed. Now, that is the first question he is answering, he addressed immediately right there. And then the third chapter, at the end of second chapter, he said, now you must come to the samadhi stage. Esha brahmi sthita partha nainam prapya sthasta antagale karma, what is that? Nirvanam, Brahma Nirvanam Ruchati. Yeah. Give up everything, yeah, almost like one who is self-realized, he doesn't have any duty to perform. So he's almost coming to that knowledge aspect, jnana. So then he is bewildered. So third chapter is the one where he's asking the second question, more or less similar to what he's asking here in the fifth chapter also. There is asking, you are telling you become sthita prajna, that means intelligent. Atmarati, Atma Asta, many different ways. Buddhi, he was using in 2.54. Many verses uses in different ways, different terminology. Then he was bewildered. He was doubtful. You are talking, that means if you think intelligence is better, then why are you asking me to this ghastly warfare? That was the question. Second question Arjuna is asking in third chapter. Now, that is third chapter is Karma Yoga. Fifth chapter is also Karma Yoga, but slight difference, variation is there. Let's look at the sections, how it is laid out, so that we understand a little more clearly, because it is very important to understand. The third chapter, the sections are laid out as first section 1 to 9 is Karma Yoga. Karma is better than Jnana, a renunciation of work or work in devotion. That was the more or less same, but a little slight difference is there. Then the 10 to 16, Nishkama Karma Yoga, or Yajna purifies lust, or another way, Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga. Similar section is there, but little bit different. Then the third section is self-realized. Uh, yeah, Nishkam Karma, setting correct example, where that example is given. As a leader, you are supposed to set example. Yadyadacharat shreshtas tat tat ivetarojam, other one. And then Arjuna asks the next question, because there he says, one who is self-praised, he controls the senses, everything. So basically, then he asks, if that is so, then why does a person who will buy, as though like somebody is forcing, what is it? Anichannam. Icha means desire. Anicham. As though he is not desiring, but he is being forced. Baladiva niyojita. Anichannam varsneya. Baladiva niyojita. As though he is being forced to engage in a sinful activity. Why? Why is that so? That was the question. And because as he was explaining about the self-realized soul, just like the second chapter, last question, first question is asking the same aspect, but in a different way. When he said controlling the senses, you will not be agitated. Then he had a doubt. Then the 36 to 43, that's the is answer second question. Lord Krishna is answering, beware of lust and anger. Why it is causing? It is only lust. The lust, anger, greed. This is situated in all in senses, in mind, in intelligence. So all these three places it is situated. You must control. You must curb this intelligence by transcendental knowledge. That's how the chapter 4 begins. Uh, so the three questions asked so far till third chapter. And the fourth chapter begins then that knowledge of transcendental knowledge about Krishna, about why he appears, how he appears, what happens, why do you need to know, what is the result. That was the main context of the chapter 4. Uh, then we see that chapter 4, then Arjuna asks a small question. You are explaining, I described to Vivaswan why, but Vivaswan is old. I am friend. I haven't seen Vivaswan. You are talking about Vivaswan in past life, but you are only maybe little younger, maybe elder than me. But how do I know that you are described? How is that possible? Just like so that it is for us to understand. This is happened in the previous. I was there from so many lifetimes. You are also there, but you don't remember anything. So I instructed this to Vivaswan previous life. Now the knowledge is lost. That's why I'm instructing to now to you, because to again reinstate that disciplic succession, starting with you. So in that way, Arjuna was asking that fourth question in the fourth chapter. There is no other question in the till end of fourth chapter. So that is the fourth chapter. Now the at the end of fourth chapter, if you carefully observe, in the 41 verse and before also, Gnana Yoga, what is that? Yoga Karma Sannyasam is using in 41st verse. So that means after explaining that, after explaining everything is situated in sacrifices, and he explains so many things, and then all the sacrifice situated in transcendental knowledge. All the activities situated in transcendental knowledge. That's what he sums it up to. And then he says, Yoga Sannyasa Karmana. Sannyas means renunciation. That's what everybody will think. Karmana means activities, renunciation of activity. Then what is the duty to perform? You renounce everything. Oh, this is good. This is what I was thinking. Renounce, go to forest. Oh, Krishna is also telling. Then immediately, then, oh, remove all doubts. Get up and fight. Chitvainam samsayam yogam artistotist bharata. Get up and fight. Give up your lethargy. Give up your doubts. Then he's, what is this? You're telling you renounce everything. Then at the same time, you're telling get up and fight. It doesn't make any sense. So much confusion. So that's how the question again. Third chapter beginning, same aspect. After explaining about the self-realized soul, who will not actually agitated, you will do the work, but you will not be attached to the results. That's how he explained. But Arjuna thought, oh, intelligence means renouncing work, completely renouncing the work, not doing any duty. That's how he understood. That's how he asked. And the same question now, instead of there, he's asking intelligence is better than fruity work. Here he's asking karma yoga or sannyasa. That is the difference. So 5.1, the verse itself we can see. Arjuna was sannyasam karmanam Krishna. Punar yogam sansi. Punar yoga means karma yoga. You just said that yoga sannyasa karmanam, but then again punar yogam. You're asking me again to engage in this work. Well, so then what do you want me to do? It is very confusing. Yes, etayor ekam tanme bruhi sunichitam. Definitely, confidently tell me which one is better, sannyas or karma. So, but the words you see, that's why if you self-read, you understand sannyasa means renounce, karma means activity. But in translation, you look at the translation word to word, and Prabhupada explains in the purport. It is karma sannyas or karma yoga. That's what is translated to. That's how Lord Krishna is telling. Karma yoga means acting, engaging in work, offering, connecting with the Supreme Lord. Karma sannyas means you're renouncing work. So, renouncing your duties. That is what karma sannyas means. So, which one you want me to do? That was the question. Because of that doubt, he has been raised. A doubt has been arisen in his heart, because in the fourth chapter, Lord Krishna also telling that if you have questions, you must ask, you submit, you serve. So tat vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. Because Lord Krishna told pariprasna, I am surrendered soul. Now you tell me confidently which path I should take. I don't know what I should do. I'm still not understood what you spoke. Then Purport Prabhupada explains that yes, in the second chapter, Lord Krishna clearly told Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga, Nishkama Karma, gradual sequence. He didn't any do back and forth business. Exactly, he told first fundamentals, Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga, minimum basics, then Karma Yoga, then Nishkama Karma Yoga, then further enlightenment, come to the Bhakti Yoga, Samadhi. Finally, perfect, come to liberation. This is how he ended. In the third chapter also, he systematically went in. First, he explained about the Karma Yoga. Everything must be engaged in for the Supreme Lord, otherwise it will cause bondage, sinful activity. Then he explained Nishkama Karma Yoga. And then he, as a leader, you are supposed to set an example. So in this way, then the self-realized soul, that example is being given. Now in the fourth chapter, because the simple activity why somebody is acting, then Lord Krishna explained about the whole fourth chapter. Now the fifth chapter, the difference between the third and fifth is a regulated action. In the third chapter, the knowledge is not completely, full knowledge is not being given. Everything must, the transcendental knowledge, that means we understand action, but now with regulated action, you must regulate your sense. That means everything must be utilized for the serving senses of the Supreme Lord. Just like the Father, why he will create, why is getting married, why is having kids, because he wants to expand, he wants to get the happiness, you want to exchange rasa. This is the duty of this is what the general philosophy is in this world. And then now go back to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. When he is creating as a Supreme Father, he is all the living entities are his own sons and daughters. Then what he wants to do, he wants to enjoy, otherwise why he has to create so many living entities, millions and millions of living entities. We cannot even count. 8.4 million species is just a category of people, or the different types of living entities. It is not a count of people. A count of people you cannot count at all. So those many. Just in this one of the smallest universe we are in, so many people, so many living entities are there, and so many universe. This is only 1/4. Imagine 3/4 how much is the spiritual world, and imagine what we are seeing is nothing in this material universe. And then imagine how much variegatedness, how much activity is there, how much variety is there, how much what kind of we are only, oh, new song came, new melody came, new tune came, we are so much get attracted. But imagine how much, how many new tunes, how much new songs, new dance, everything is so much variety is there. Because we are not understand, we don't know what that is, how it looks, and what happens there in spiritual world. That's why we are attracted and attached to this material world. So that's why Lord Krishna gives the brief details only in Bhagavad Gita. This is only foundation. When we go to Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, those much more details about the spiritual world and its activities are being described. So that's why so the Father wants to enjoy with all living entities. So that's why what is there to renounce? That is the first fundamental question here. Karma Sannyasa, Karma Yoga. When we are born, first of all, understand what is there to renounce. You are entering into a room, or you are entering into an apartment. So whose apartment is, you are not the owner, landlord is there. Even if we think that your own house, but who has given the material? Who has given the land? America itself, when was discovered? Discovered by somebody. Before discovering, nothing. No, it was vacant. Nobody was there. So later on, then Europeans came, gradually developed them. All these different places were acquired, and then the whole thing became United States of America in this way. So otherwise everything belongs to Supreme Lord. So everything must be utilized for Supreme Lord. So in that way, it is nishkinchana, means akinchana or nishkinchana. We don't possess anything, so there is nothing to renounce. We don't possess anything, so there is nothing you can renounce. We don't have anything. Nothing belongs to us in reality. So that's why when it says karma yoga, you must work and use it. Again, so that's what in this verse is mainly practically speaking. Uh, in this verse, Lord Krishna, Arjuna is asking, Sannyasa, Sannyasam karmanam Krishna punar yogam to samsati sreya yetayo ekam tanme bruhi sunischitam. Just tell me decisively. So that's why second chapter, where Lord Krishna explained about the soul and the body, then gradually explained about the karma. Then third chapter explained further in detail about actually karma. There also explained actually. If you look at carefully, action, inaction also explained. One who sees inaction and action is self-realized. He knows. He is in knowledge. He says. That means one who sees very confusing confusing verse. That verse, if you read, it is a little bit difficult to understand. One who sees in action means no action. In action, hmm? Somebody is doing work. He is really doing something, but you are telling there is no work. He is not doing any work. How is that so? That means somebody who is engaged in work of for the Supreme Lord. He's doing it for the Supreme Lord. That means even though he's doing the work, he's not really doing the work. That is called akarma. So that's what that verse is talking about karma, vikarma, akarma. So one who sees inaction and action means akarma. That means it is as good as karma yoga. That is also means renounce work. Means because he is renounced. What are you going to renounce? All we are renouncing is renouncing sense gratification, renouncing material activities, renouncing negative things, accepting positive things. You cannot say that I am going to renounce, but then you have to have some positive thing. So, and then that's why in this section, Lord Krishna is predominantly, the answer is clearly in simple terms. What he's telling, first of all, he's telling karma yoga is equal to Jnana Yoga are even greater than. First of all, he is telling both are same, equal. There is not difference because Jnana Yoga, through Jnana Yoga, what happens? You're trying to find Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga, same thing. You're trying to find material elements, earth, water, air, fire, ether. These are the five elements. Then you have Jnanendriya, then you have Karmendriyas, these eyes, ear, nose, all these are Jnanendriyas. And the hands, like these are Karmendriyas. There are five and five and five. And then these Jnanendriyas has its subtle objects, five. So 10, 5 and 5, 20. There itself, mind into false ego. Then there it's a 23. Then you add time factor 24. You add soul 25. If you add super soul, or if you add Mahat Tattva or Pradhan, so 26. It depends. It depends on the context, 23 to 26. This is what, when they say Big Bang Theory, these elements by the some big sound. Obviously, it is sound vibration only. Initial came. So that's why Big Bang. So but this is what Sankhya Yoga means. They understanding all these 26 and where it came from, that whole idea of Sankhya Yoga is to understand the source. That source is the Supreme Lord. The source is Ishvara. That is the ultimate goal of the Jnana Yoga is also same thing. But you have to go through so much research and finding it. But ultimate point is the same thing. You are going through Karma Yoga, you are renouncing, you are offering everything for the service of the Supreme Lord. That end result is the same thing. In both ways, it is the same result. One who is intelligent, he sees the both are equal to actually same thing. That's what in this section. That's why this section title is Karma Yoga is equal to easier than Jnana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga. So that is what is the difference. So both are equal, but Krishna is saying both are equal, but one is greater than. Karma Yoga is greater than renounced work or Jnana Yoga, because if you do one faulty action, finished. You look at Viswamitra, Chayavan Muni, or so many yogis, even nowadays yogis also, so many. One fault, finished. One sense is agitated, finished. One fault, because he's not engaging in any work, real work. He's completely renounced every duty and then he's completely meditating, trying to control his senses artificially. Inside the heart, the proclivities are not gone. Artificial renouncing. That's why Prabhupada talks about in this verse, fifth verse or fourth verse purport is quoting Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Rishabhadev. He's quoting the three things. I explained tomorrow morning is still tomorrow is still Gopal Bhatta Goswami's appearance day. I have recorded lecture, it should be readily available by tomorrow. So there also I described this. There is three things. There is a Makkata Vairagya, there is a Smashana Vairagya, Falgu Vairagya. and Yukta Vairagya. Sometimes it is also called Sushku Vairagya. These are broad categories, four things. Markata Vairagya means renunciation. Here, sannyas means renunciation. But Markata means like monkey, what does he do? He doesn't have clothes, it almost looks like renunciation. But he will have his own family members, so many wives, and he wants to enjoy. So that is means it is not really Vairagya. He is not in that mode actually. So seemingly it looks, so that is not going to work. That means that is not real renunciation. That is artificial. That means inside the heart you are something, but you are just taking simply the dress. That's why Prabhupada is explaining. Lord Krishna seeing the future of Kali Yuga, people are going to wear this sannyas dress. There's Brahmana, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. These are the gradual order of the living state of a living entity, because gradually people supposed to go through like this. Initially brahmacharya till gurukul going, and then all the way till 14, 15, 16 years, and then if he decides he cannot control, he wants to go to the grahastha ashram, then yes, you will be entered into that. Then gradually after 50 years or so, you're supposed to give up and go to forest. And there, that also there's a gradual progress, gradual process. Vanaprastha means suddenly you don't disperse. Both husband and wife go together to the all the holy places, then gradually they come back, then they initially they may live outside or two different places, they may live in the same house, but still wife will serve husband. This will go on gradually. They it comes to a point where they are completely renounce and give up. Wife will be under the care of a father, under care of a son, or a father, or some guardian. The husband will go off his own. This is the general aspect, or this is the standard process given in the Vedic scriptures as per Manu Samhita. This is the standard process of Varna Ashrama system. Daivi Varna Ashrama, it is called. Everywhere, every step of the way, Lord is in the center of the each and every step. All these four steps. This is the standard. But in Kali Yuga, people are not, because, and also another point is all these ashrams, especially Grihastha ashram, Brahmanas dependent on Grihastha, Vanaprastha dependent on Grihastha, Sannyas dependent on Grihastha. So everybody is dependent on. So for those who are in the Grihastha ashram, they are supposed to serve others. When somebody engaged in work activity, he is implicated with activity if he doesn't utilize it for serving others, especially those who are in Grihastha. Naturally, there is a reaction. That's why one must utilize it. One must utilize some portion for service of others, those who are in Grihastha ashram. This is the natural. In general, means women not supposed to work as per the in general practice. They can work, provided they use also that some portion of thing in the Lord service. It can be bhoga offering at home, it could be offering in the temple, so whatever, but something or the other, engaging, is man or woman doesn't matter, but in general practice, as a as a general platform as per Manu Samhita, that is the general practice being given. But either way, anybody can work provided they are utilizing some portion of it, especially being in Grihastha ashrama, that is even more so, must utilize some portion or the other in the service of the Supreme Lord, service of others. Then that will be at least beneficial for their progress, gradual progress in human life. Now, by seeing Kali Yuga, people are going to take up sannyas, means color, just dress change after 50 years, or sometimes they may artificially take up at 30 years, 40 years itself. Then seeing that itself, Lord Krishna is suggesting here, renounced work is not going, renunciation is not going to help. It actually is not. First of all, it is very difficult. Even though result will be the same, equal, but it is more easier. Acharyanadika is very quickly you will attain. You will attain liberation. You will come out of bondage. For who? Not for renounced people. It is actually for karma yoga. Because why is it so? Because senses are active always. Soul is active. So spirit soul is Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. Always looking for knowledge, always looking for happiness. Happiness means activity. You must do something. You cannot sit idle and then bring happiness. It's not going to come. Knowledge means he has to learn, he has to do something to get knowledge. It's not going to come automatically by its own. So that means he has to put some work. So that the soul itself is active. If you are telling the soul, don't do anything, just sit at one place, this is going to happen, is going to helpful? No, it is not going to be helpful. That is not the natural characteristic. Then how it will help? So that's why the karma yoga is easier, because that is the natural quality anyway. So then you are following the natural path, then it becomes easier. And then it's easier, and the same goal you are achieving, and it's a quicker and greater benefit, because in the that is because this is a regulated action. After understanding transcendental knowledge, what is the right work, what is not right work, who is Isvara, who is Jiva, and what to accept, what to reject, all these are described in the transcendental knowledge. How to receive the knowledge, understanding the relationship, everything has been explained in the fourth chapter. Now you are understanding not just work, not just yourself and doing some work, understanding the whole context, whole picture, how it affects my consciousness. That is being explained now, because that's why it is called action in Krishna consciousness. The consciousness has to be transformed. So that's why Lord Krishna, seeing that future happening, this unwanted markata vairagya is going to happen. Some people will follow that. He is wearing the dress, but he has the tendency to be like monkey. So that is markata vairagya. And the falgu vairagya means falsely. The Falgu, there is a river in Gaya. Outside it looks like a sand, but if you put leg, it goes down, there is water. So outside it looks like a dress, but inside he has another. Means monkey can be maybe for some time he may be stable, but another time he will be running up and down, jumping and doing all kinds of mischievous things. Yeah, but here Falgu means he's completely fake. He's not even, he hasn't attained sense control, but artificially taking up. That means he has some desires. The desires are not controlled. That means he doesn't have active engagement with higher things. Then he cannot give up lower things. That means he cannot give up the desires what is there in his heart. For many lifetimes he has accumulated. So it cannot go on its own by simply meditating. Uh, as explains in Canto 6 by Ajamil Sukadeva Goswami is explaining, Nahi tata Agavan Rajan Puyet Tapadibi Puyet Tapadibi. I forget the last words. Then another verse also is there. Sura Kumbam Vivapa. It is like you are trying to clean up the liquor bottle. However, you clean up, it never can be used for devotion service, that bottle. Because once it is used for liquor, then finished. You can't use it. Is untouchable. It cannot be. It cannot be used for the devotion service. The same way, so the through atonement, what kind of austerity, penance, or charity, none of these going to work to purify actual proclivity of the heart. Yes, you may counteract your impious activity for time being, but the actual desire in the heart will not be removed by any of this. It must be only be counteracted by devotional service. In the association of devotees, it must be in touch with fire. Then only it can. Kechit kevalaya bhakti vasudeva parayan agam dhunvanti karsnena niharam eva vaskara. So compared with sun, how sun purifies even the dirty places. It doesn't get attached to that smell. Sun never gets contaminated. So like that, we must be in touch with the bhakti. That's why Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. As soon as you are in touch with offering things gradually, engaging in the service of Supreme Lord, in touch with the Supreme Lord through our activities, then gradually, automatically, two things will happen. Gnanam cha ahaitukam. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayo Janayati Asu Vairagyam. The renunciation automatically will come. The negative, giving up negative things. Not wasting a kankshati. Neither you will desire, neither you will renounce, neither you will hate. Like somebody is giving money. That is also another way to look at. This is Markada Vairagya, Falgu Vairagya. Then Yukta Vairagya means real renunciation. Means accepting everything for service of the Lord. If somebody, this is the same in simple terms. Bhoga, Tyaga, and Seva. Bhoga is on the platform of karma, ordinary karma, pious, impious. Tyaga on the platform of jnana, renouncing work. In middle is called seva. Neither you are trying to enjoy yourself, neither you are trying to give up work, renouncing, whether for because it's too difficult to do or whatever the reason may, but you are renouncing. You are trying to renounce. You are trying to give up. You don't want to take up things, work, duty, whatever. That was Arjuna's beginning condition also. So this is the Bhoga, this is Tyaga, or Markata Vairagya, Falgu Vairagya, or Smashan Vairagya. Means intermittently or temporarily you may see some dead body, then you realize, oh, It's really, this material life is too much. Then I should renounce. I should really do something spiritual enlightenment. Next day, after 2 days, again go back to square one. So that is the very temporary thing. But most of the times, this Markata and Falgu Vairagya happens. And the Smashan Vairagya is very rare, once in a while. But the Yukta Vairagya means real renunciation, using, utilizing for them. But in simple terms, the Bhoga, you're trying to enjoy everything for yourself. That is means you are thinking kinchana. That means you possess something. I am working. I should use the result. I should engage in myself. Why shouldn't I buy things, everything for my own enjoyment? And then because this is not meant to be like that. That means imagine. Then you are. We have our temple or we have our business. Somebody is coming to our place and trying to do his own thing. Will that person will like it? It is my business. Get out from here. That's what they will say. Because this is not your place to do whatever you want. This is my place. You do follow my. If Lord Krishna created it and he has created for his own enjoyment and he has given the facility, that does mean I will do whatever I like. Yes, free will is there. No, that's why material world is given. You do whatever you like, but you will be rotting here only. You will be going through difficulties, and when you really realize that this is a temporary place, there is no real enjoyment, flickering happiness only, chapala sukha, as Prabhupada explains in that, what is that? Bajahure mana Sri Nandanandana Abhay Saranara in that Sita Atapa Bata Barishana Edina Jamini Yagiri Edana Yavana Putra Parijana Chapala Sukala Lagire. Chapala Sukha means flickering happiness, scratching. The scratching will keep on scratching only. So that, like that itching sensation, happiness, whatever, through different means we are trying to get happiness, but it's only flickering. Just for teeny bit of happiness, we are getting into so much, so prolonged lives, prolonged, so many lifetimes we are taking, not understanding the actual what we are getting for how much effort. We are not understanding that. We are not trying to calculate how much, what is the real thing is available, and we should work towards that. That we are not able to understand. So that's why we are not able to come out of this Andakupa. So that's why here so bhoga and tyaga, and then understand that seva. That doesn't mean you are not going to get enjoyment. As soon as you use Prasarvilla, just like offering bhoga to the Lord, you are buying, you are using, you are cooking, you are offering, still you are getting everything back. Lord is giving everything. You are eating. So there is no, you are not losing anything. You are working, you are getting money, you are utilizing. Yes, Lord is not saying you give up, you don't use anything, you don't pay mortgage, you don't pay for your kid. No, Lord is not telling. Whatever in your capacity, what you can offer out of your love and devotion. That's all Lord is saying. Nobody is not telling give up everything. Otherwise, you would have told Arjuna, you are a family member, you give up everything. Just come with me. So he's not telling. Neither he told that I will fight, you don't need to do anything, you go home. I will finish everybody and then I'll give you the kingdom. Neither he did that. That means everybody has to do individual work. Nobody is going to come and say. So Lord will help provided we are ready to do the action. So that's a free will. The choice is there. You must do the action. So that's why here these verses are explaining about how karma yoga is better than and easier, equal to, first of all, equal to same result of karma yoga, jnana yoga. So that's why when you look at the whole Bhagavad Gita, the whole book, 18 chapter, first 6 chapters talking about bhoga. Underlying factor is bhoga, because everybody is coming with that mentality, and as soon as a living end is born, first mentality he has is bhoga only, trying to enjoy with the body what is being given, whatever type of body it is, whatever living form it is. So that is the fundamental aspect, underlying aspect of karma yoga, first 6 chapters. Then gradually working, understanding the pious and impious, both are wrong. Both are not going to help. People think that pious is going to help. No, rather both pious and impious is still going to incur a body. We have to take a body, then we still need to go through the life. It's never going to be transformative. It's never going to take us. It's not going to be a launch pad from this world to the spiritual world. Guaranteed. Shastra is telling clearly. So that is why it's called Boga, Boga airline. The last 6 chapters talking about Tyaga airline, renunciation. Then the middle 6 chapter predominantly, there are subtle aspects are there. Middle 6 chapter talking about neither you do Bhoga nor you do Tyaga, rather you do Seva. That's all. Lord Krishna, in very easy terms, if somebody wants to understand Bhagavad Gita, this is what it sums it up to. You don't do Bhoga, you don't do Tyaga, rather you do Seva. That's all. So that's why in the last 6 chapter, gradually, this factor is there actually. And if you go study deeply, in each and every chapter, Lord Krishna is stressing the same aspect. Don't do Bhoga, don't do Tyaga, you do Seva. Each and every chapter, but it's a underlying aspect. You don't see it explicitly. When it comes to 18th chapter, you will see explicitly. He's telling Karma Yoga on the platform of renunciation, Jnana Yoga on the platform of renunciation, Ashtanga Yoga on the platform of renunciation. Then gradually is giving enlightening about Bhakti Yoga completely for almost 30 verses or 20 verses or so in the 18th chapter also, because that is the last chapter. So, but the middle 6 chapters are key, explicitly stating, starting from 7th chapter, about this seva aspect. But in this chapter, 5th chapter, Krishna is initially addressing the Arjuna's immediate question: which one is better, renouncing work or actual terms is karma sannyas or karma yoga? Karma yoga is better. It is easier. Same result you are going to get, and greater and quicker. Equal, better, greater, and you will get end quicker. All these things, so many benefits. Then why not take up karma yoga rather than doing renouncing work? Even if you say somebody says renouncing work, whenever there is an aspect of renunciation, when Lord Krishna is saying renounce, stressing renunciation, that means it is only renouncing the fruits, renouncing the negative aspects, renouncing the material aspects, renouncing the sense gratification, renouncing the enjoyment mentality, renouncing our false ego, but acting on real ego as servant of Krishna. That is real ego. So that is what we have to understand. Renouncing the mental speculation, but actually acting on the using the mind to serve Krishna. But otherwise, mental speculation. That is what actual Jnana yogis do, is mental speculation only. But that is not that is renunciation. But actual seva means using even mind also, thinking, feeling, willing in the service of Supreme Lord. Now, I explained a lot. Let's understand how there is a pastime of Nara and Rishi. This question is being asked by Sukadeva Goswami. Parikshit Maharaj asked to Sukadeva Goswami all the way at the end of 10th canto about your how means you explained so many different gopis and different devotees offering prayers and relation with the Supreme Lord. What about Vedas? What about the personified Vedas? Then Sukadeva Goswami explains, what question, the question you are asking is being already asked. Why? In the long ago or recently, by Narayana Rishi. Narada Muni is asking Narayana Rishi, and then Narayana Rishi is explaining to Narada Muni. Narayana Rishi is situated in Badrik Ashram. Even now it is there, beautiful place, Uttarakhand now. Badrik Ashram, Badrinath temple, very famous temple, Uttarakhand. And there is a village called Kalapa. That is now that village nobody knows where it is, but it is in the Badrika, that area only. That's where it was originally stated. And so there is a conversation between Narada and Narayana Rishi. Narayana Rishi is explaining what has happened in the past. These Vedas personified when Lord Brahma went and created, and the second day came. Then Mahavishnu is sleeping. Then when he woke up, then these Shrutis, these Vedas personified, uh, glorifying the Supreme Lord, talking about the same aspects, but much more clear and very distinctly speaking. So I'll just share that, and it's very nice to directly get that substance, so that we really understand the picture. It covers up the whole thing. Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 80. That. Hare Krishna. 87. 87. Almost close. Yeah. This is 87. Even Krishna book also it is there. I recently read it. 87. Yeah. Here all the way to 14th. Yeah. 14th. You see the conversation before. Yeah. Narayana is the parallel after parallel. First question asked by Sukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj asking Sukadeva Goswami. Then within that question, Sukadeva Goswami is telling this question is asked by Narada to Narayana Rishi. Now, Narayana Rishi is telling this question is asked by four Kumaras, Sanandana. So that's why Sri Sanandana replied. So, four Kumaras are describing the same details. Narayana Rishi, three parallels. Narayana Rishi explained Narada Muni went back to Vyasadeva and told. Then Vyasadeva told to Sukadeva Goswami, Sukadeva Goswami told to Sudha Goswami. Sorry, Parikshit Maharaj. So, see that how many parallels. Now, anyway, going back to the verse 10:87:14. Let's understand translation. Shruti said, Victory, victory to you, O unconquerable one. By your very nature, you are perfectly full in all opulences. Therefore, please defeat the eternal power of illusion. You can understand this pronunciation. Who assumes control over the modes of nature to create difficulties for conditioned souls. O you, who awaken all the energies of the moving and non moving embodied beings. Sometimes the Vedas can recognize you as you sport with your material and spiritual potencies. Quoting Jiva Goswami about the 28 pairs that is there, but anyway, we'll not go into that. We'll not have enough time. We'll just read the translation. I think one verse, last verse, we have to read the purport, important part. Verse number 15. This perceivable world is identified with the Supreme because the Supreme Brahman is the ultimate foundation of all existence, remaining unchanged as all created things are generated from it and at last dissolve into it, just as a clay remains unchanged by the products made from it and again merged with it. Thus, it is toward you alone that the Vedic sages direct all their thoughts, words, and acts. After all, how can the footsteps of men fail to touch the earth on which they live? Fail to touch the earth where they live. So important because these asking this is the first time when they asked who was asking Janaloka. Sages from Janaloka went and asked these four Kumaras. So that's how gradually that conversation it happened with so many parallels. Then verse number 16. Therefore, O master of the three worlds, the wise get rid of all misery by diving deep into the nectarian ocean of topics about you which washes away all the contamination of the universe, then what to speak of those who, having by spiritual strength rid their minds of bad habits and freed themselves from time, are able to worship your true nature, O Supreme One, finding within it uninterrupted bliss. Understand gradually where it is going? Started with illusion, started with three modes of material and how we are living and it is being um, suffering in this material world, and gradually it is taking on how to get out of that misery, diving deep into the ocean, just like the understand the river and ocean. Rivers sometimes become dry. We also sometimes become we are enthusiastic one day, another way we become dry. So like that, rivers are merging into ocean. But when the sun evaporates, what will happen? That those are floating on the top. That means they are not going deep. They are not trying to develop, build relation with the Supreme Lord through worshipping the deity, through the chanting, and through the actually doing some service. This will help to build the relation, just like the father and son, the parents, the kids, different, our friends. There is a service. So the same aspect has to be applied. If you want to develop some rasa, some reciprocation with the Lord, then one must do engage in this activity. Without activity, then because soul itself is naturally active. So that way is telling we must not don't stay on the superficial on the top platform. Rather go deep into the ocean like the sharks. Then they never get evaporated. Those who are staying on the top, the river water getting merged. That river water is the one sun is evaporating. Again, it comes as a rain. So that's what is indirectly is being spoken here. Then verse number 17. Only if they become your faithful followers are those who breathe actually alive. Otherwise, their breathing is like that of a bellows. Just like, because this bellows means this those who does the what you call kamsari, or uh, I forget the English word. Sunsmith, not. There is a word, the the type of work they do. Those who are gold makers, silver, gold, copper, they do that. So that they use that, giving that heat. They press it, that bellows. That is like, that is also breathing, but that is artificial breathing, not real breathing. So that's what it is compared like that. It is by your mercy alone that the elements beginning with Mahat Tattva and false ego created the egg of the universe. Among the manifestation known as Annamaya and so forth, you are the ultimate one, entering within the material coverings along with the living entity and assuming the same forms as those he takes, distinct from the gross and subtle material manifestation. You are the reality underlying them all. So he's telling, Supreme Lord, you are, even though egg and everything, Mahatma, everything is coming from you. Glands activated and then living entities through Lord Brahma, all the progeny is coming. But you are aloof. You are not in touch. That's what is basically. Your reality underlying them all. That's what basically giving. It is like the air situated in the sky. Air and sky, there is no touch. But air is always in the sky only. Air cannot go outside of the sky. So, like that Supreme Lord is sky, the material, the whole Brahmanda, whole Mahatattva, and all these 26 elements are the air. Air is, it has to be situated. Yata akasa sthito nityam vayu sarvatra go mahan. Tata sarvani bhutani mastani to upadharaya. So it is like that. That's what Lord gives example. How it is so. How Lord is not in touch with this material world, even though He is the one source. The example is like that. Air and sky example. Now further it has been stated, among the followers of the method set forth by the great sages, those with less refined vision worship. Those with less refined vision. Less refined vision means is not the vision is not fully transformed yet. As I mentioned, there are filters, just like there are general filters for the body, for a human being, as for others also. Just like the ears, there is a wax, there's a different layers for it to protect from unwanted things to go. Nostrils, it has its own wafers and whatever you call that terminology. Eyes also has its own protective. Naturally, when the living entity is born, it has its own protective layer for each and every Gnanendriya. The skin and the ear, the nose, everywhere. But on top of it, there is a filters we have to apply to protect ourselves from the three modes of material nature and come to the mode of Suddha Sattva, goodness, and Visuddha, pure goodness. But it takes, so we have to first understand what those aspects are, where to put that filter, what to filter out. That first detecting and understanding itself is a little bit takes time, because we have to understand what is exactly is happening and what I should filter. So that's when it says with less refined vision worship, means because it is not filtered properly, so obviously we cannot see the reality clearly and crystal clearly. The Supreme as present in the region of abdomen, while the Arunis worship him as a present in the heart, in the subtle center from which all the pranic channels emanate. This is Ashtanga Yoga aspect. Different koshas, Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, and Anandamaya kosha is the top. So that kind of aspect from one level to another level. Different chakras are also there. Koshas, chakras. In the subtle center from which pranic channels emanate. From there, O unlimited Lord, those worshippers raise their consciousness upward to the top of cerebrium, it is called. The Agna Chakra, I think, if I remember. On the top of the brain. The yogis are trying to bring the consciousness, bring the pranic air through all the way, through different chakras, through different koshas, bring it up from here. So that's what, top of the head. Where they can perceive you directly, then passing through the top of the head towards the supreme destination. They reach that place from which they will never again fall into this world, into the mouth of death. This is the yoga process of glorifying. Gradually, one by one, they are coming. They are coming to that final point soon. Verse number 19, I think we have to go quickly. 8:14 already. Apparently entering among the variegated species of living beings you have created, you inspire them to act, manifesting yourself according to their higher and lower position. Just as fire manifests differently according to shape of what it burns. Therefore, those of spotless intelligence who are altogether free from the material attachments realize your undifferentiated, unchanging self to be the permanent reality among all these impermanent life forms. So undifferentiated, unchanging, because that is what Abhyakta, unmanifested also. It never changes. Lord, when he appears as son of Nanda Yashoda, Lord appears as a Kurma Varaha, whatever form he takes. At any time, his body doesn't change. His transcendental body is not taking material, so it is not deteriorating, is not changing. Like our body is going through 6 changes as we are born until the death. It is going through the various phases, but Lord's body is not going through those phases. He's always Navayavananta, 16 and a half years old. Radharani is also 14 and a half something. Acharya has explained. So their specific ages has been given. Even the gopis, different gopis ages are also given. So there's undifferentiated. They're not going through like our bodies or we going through. That's not unchanging. That's what has been explained. Gradually, they are explaining the living entity and Iswara's differences and through different processes, karma yoga, ashtanga yoga, all those. The individual living entity, while inhabiting the material bodies he has created for himself by his karma, actually remains uncovered by either gross or subtle matter. This is so because, as Vedas describe, he is part and parcel of you, who possessor of all potencies. Having determined this to be the status of the living entity, learned sages became imbued with faith and worship your lotus feet, to which all Vedic sacrifices in this world are offered and which are the sources of liberation. So, basically, one who is understanding this and engaging in the uh, devotion service, engaging in the service of the Supreme Lord. So, that's what they are slowly coming to. Part and parcel. Further has been explained. Verse number 21. My lord, some fortunate souls have gotten relief from the fatigue of material life by diving into the vast nectar of ocean of your pastime, which you enact when you manifest your personal forms to propagate the unfathomable science of the self. These rare souls, indifferent even to liberation, renounce the happiness of home and family because of their association with devotees who are like flocks of swans enjoying at the lotus of your feet. So, here is talking about these ritualistic brahmanas and impersonalists. So compare just like the crows and swans, Narada Muni's pastime that has been explained. Tadvag visargo janatag viplavo esmin pratislokam avaddavad api namani anantas sankutani srimanti gayanti gunanti sadhu. The swans, the Paramhamsas are always gathered around the clean places, always discussing Krishna's pastimes, engaging in some service or the other. Uh, But those who are crows, they are always in the dirty places. There is no filter. The mind is always dragging senses, every indriya, every knowledge acquiring senses are always dragging into the opposite aspect of the Supreme Lord, thinking of the boga, enjoyment aspect. uh, so that's what is being explained here. The differentiation of how to come to that attached to the lotus stem of the Lord, lotus feet. When the human body is used for your devotion service, gradually now it came. It acts as oneself, friend, beloved. But unfortunately, although you always show mercy to the conditioned soul and affectionate help them in every way, although you are their true self, people in general fail to delight in you. Instead, they commit spiritual suicide by worshipping illusion. Alas, because they persistently hope for success in their devotion to the unreal, they continue to wander about this greatly fearful world, assuming various degraded bodies. Yes, that's what it is. Just like the Vyasdev asked Jaimini Rishi to write, and Jaimini Rishi thought, no, living entity cannot be. How living entity? I am a learned sage, learned soul. How can I be covered with illusion? Yeah, correct. Let's go through that. Then he puts him, okay, tomorrow you will write, okay, today you take rest, tomorrow morning you will know. Then he goes, and then all of a sudden in the night, huge rain and thunderstorms and everything, and Vyasdev transforms himself into, he goes as beautiful lady, and then the whole pastime. Then he himself gets bewildered. He doesn't want to tell her that not to open the door. He will allow her to come in. Then tell her not to open the door, even if I call you. Finally, it happens so that he himself couldn't sleep because of that beauty. Then he was attracted. Then finally goes and bangs the door, and no, you have to open. I'm telling you to open. And he says, okay, all right, I'm opening. Then by that time, daytime comes, sunlight comes. Then then Vyasdev reveals what has happened. Now, do you understand how you were living and discovered the illusion? So this is what it is. Now, can you write it now? Yes, I understand. So that's how even Jaimini Rishi, not an ordinary sage, he himself got the experience. This is what it is. That's what this verse is telling. They commit spiritual suicide by worshipping illusion. So, verse number 23. Simply by constantly thinking of him, the enemies of the Lord attain the same supreme truth, whom sages fixed in yoga worship by controlling their breath, mind, and senses. Oh, this is Ashtanga Yoga process. Similarly, we Srutis, who generally see you as all pervading, will achieve the same nectar from your lotus feet that your consorts are able to release because of their loving attraction to your mighty serpentine arms. For you look upon us and your consort in the same way. Yeah. This was the question actually. Initially, he asked about the Vedas, but in reality, as you go through, understand the actual aspect, Vedas personified also became gopis. Then Parikshit Maharaj was surprised. You are talking about Veda, how they can become, because generally Vedas means the karmakand which are fruitive activities and the top layer, the external layer. So immediately they get attracted to engage in this activity, worship this demigod, you will get this benefit, this what, so much, five pancha, what is that? Not Pancham Purushadam. Pancha Mahayajna, they call Ganapatya, Surya, Daiva, Shaktya, not Daiva. Ganapatya, Surya, Shaktya, Shiva, and then Vishnu. Five layers of worship, five types of final come gradually. It gradually comes like that. Lord Ganesha to Lord Surya to Devis and to Lord Shiva, then the Lord Vishnu. Gradually, this is how it presents Veda. So that's why you are surprised. How can they become gopis? How can they worship Supreme Lord in Vrindavan? Just he couldn't believe it. So that's why he asked this question. That's why this elaborate description is given. So now Jiva Goswami is quoting from Gopala Tapanupana. But you can read. This is important chapter. So 1087 chapter, 87th chapter, almost close to 3 chapters before at the end in Krishna book also, last third chapter. Everyone in this world has recently been born and will soon die. So how can anyone here know him who existed prior to everything else and who gave rise to the first learned sage Brahma and all subsequent demigods, both lesser and greater? When he lies down and withdraws everything within himself, nothing else remains. No gross or subtle matter or body is composed of those. No force of time or revealed scripture. That's what, because every time before Kali Yuga only Vyasadeva is writing down the scriptures, whatever we see, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, even within the time also, after Vyasadeva writing down also before Kali Yuga, again and again it disappears, just like the Brahma Samhita. It was there. Now it was lost in such that only 2 chapters were found. I think only 1 chapter was found. 2 chapters I think Mahaprabhu found, but only right now we have only 1 chapter. That is Brahma Samhita. I think 5th chapter is the Brahma Samhita. That's why it's called 5.1. The 5th chapter of whole Brahma Samhita has many chapters, but only 1 chapter is remaining. Some of the Upanishads are not even, you cannot find it. Some of them, so many adulterations are there now. So many people added and subtracted, whatnot. So that it's very difficult because that's how, because every time, every day of Brahma, these things has to be written down, especially before Kali Yuga. And these Vedas are coming again and again through breathing of Brahma when the day starts. So that's why it is not easy. Supposed authorities who declare that matter is the origin of existence, that permanent qualities of the soul can be destroyed, that the self is compounded of separate aspects of spirit and matter, or that material transactions constitute reality. All such authorities base their teachings on mistaken ideas that hide the truth. The dualistic conception that the living entity is produced from the three modes of nature is simply a product of ignorance. Such a conception has no real basis in you, for you are transcendental to illusion and always enjoy perfect total awareness. So they are quoting the authorities. Verse number 26. Wow, taking time. The three modes of material nature comprise everything in this world, from the simplest phenomena to the complex human body. Although these phenomena appear real, I thought we just read, no. They are only a false reflection of spiritual reality, being a superimposition of the mind upon you. Still, those who know the Supreme Self consider the entire material creation to be real in as much as it is non-different from the self, just as things made of gold are indeed not to be rejected, since their substance is actually gold. So this world is undoubtedly non-different from the Lord who created it and then entered within it. Basically, gold and gold mine, the gold particle and gold. Quality is same, but quantity is a big difference. So the same way, Lord is the creator, Lord is a gold mine, but we are also part and parcel. We are minute God. So in that way, so in one sense, not different in qualitatively, but quantitatively big difference. The devotees who worship you as the shelter of all beings disregard death and place their feet on his head. But with the words of Vedas, you bind the non-devotees like animals. Though they be vastly learned scholars, it is your affectionate devotees who can purify themselves and others, not those who are inimical to you. Tanaham Drisatam Kruram Ajam Kshipam Ajastram. So, but one who is inimical, especially, so then he will be forced into more and more degraded life, degraded species of life again and again. So, Vishatam, because of envious attitude. Though you have no material senses, you are self-effulgent, sustainer of everyone's sensory powers. The demigods and material nature ourselves offer you tribute, while also enjoying tribute offered them by their worshippers. Just as the subordinate rulers of various districts in a kingdom offer tribute to their lord, the ultimate proprietor of the land, while also enjoying the tribute paid them by their own subjects. In this way, the universal creator faithfully executes their assigned services out of fear for you. And so it is like the example Prabhupada gives. You decide. We can decide either you be in the prison house, you want to be cared by the jail superintendent, stay in the material world and to be cared by the various in charges of the superintendent of the police, superintendent of this material world, or you want to be cared by the being a nice gentleman or being a nice citizen and cared by the government who can give all facilities, not restricted like in the prison house. So that is like the spiritual world compared to the material world is like the and the Lord versus the demigod, Lord versus the other caretakers of this material world is compared to like superintendent of police versus the those who are the law-abiding citizens staying outside the prison house. So that is the in one sense the direct example we can relate to. And that's what they are talking. Oh, eternally liberated, transcendental Lord, your material energy causes the various moving and non-moving species of life to appear by activating their material desires. But only when, if you sport with her by briefly glancing at her, you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, see no one as an intimate friend and no one as a stranger. Just as the ethereal sky has no connection with perceptible qualities. In this sense, you resemble a void. Yeah, nobody is equal to nobody is equal to all. There is no friend, there is no enemy, there is no stranger. That's what. Yeah. Jivana dveshti na so no. What is that? Suhridam sarvadehina. No, I forgot the verse. They were Lord Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita that no friend, no enemy is equal to all. But one who is devotees who are very affectionate, obviously will give more because if a father has many sons and daughters, yes, he will be equal to all. But one who has too much affectionate, a small child, or too old, or some problem is there for a one son or one daughter, then obviously Lord will be more affectionate too because he needs more attention. So that's what is the difference between the devotees and others. Is equal to everybody. Is supplying whatever is needed, but at the same time, he tends to that person who needs more affection. If the countless living entities were all pervading and possessed forms that are never changed, you could not possibly by their absolute ruler, who are immutable one. But since they are your localized expansions and their forms are subject to change, you do control them. Indeed, that which supplies the ingredient for the generation of something is necessarily its controller, because a product never exists apart from its ingredient cause. It is simply illusion for someone to think that he knows the Supreme Lord, who is equally present in each of his expansions. And since whatever knowledge one gains by material means must be imperfect. Yeah, that's what. So whatever ingredient we take, as I explained in the beginning, everything belongs to Supreme Lord. What is there for us to renounce? There is nothing for us we possess. So what is there to renounce? There is nothing we can renounce. That's what it comes down to. That's what they're telling. Neither material nature nor the soul who tries to enjoy her are even born. At living bodies come into being when these two combine, just as the bubbles form whenever where water meets the air, as just rivers merge into the ocean, or the nectar from many different flowers blends into honey. So all these conditions all being eventually merged back into you, the Supreme, along with their various names and qualities. As every day, as the day goes by, Brahma, then all living entities merging into the body abdomen of Mahavishnu, lying in causal ocean in Yoga Nidra. Then again next day starts. So much time is there, very prolonged time sitting in abdomen. Next day again enters into different material world, different universes, different planet, different countries, different families. That happens again and again. So that is what is being explained here. Verse number 32. The wise souls who understand how your Maya deludes all human beings render potent loving service to you, who are the source of liberation from birth and death. How indeed can fear of material life affect your faithful servants? On the other hand, your furrowing eyebrows, the triple rimmed wheel of time, repeatedly terrify those who refuse to take shelter of you. Wow, very strong statements. How the time, where atheist or theist doesn't matter, it's going to take away, whether he believes or not believes. The mind is like an, yeah, from this important points of being, the mind is like an impetuous horse that even persons who have regulated their senses and breath cannot control. This is those in this world who try to tame the uncontrolled mind, but who abandon the feet of their spiritual master, encounter hundreds of obstacles in their cultivation of various distressful practices. O unborn Lord, they are like merchants on a boat in the ocean who have failed to employ a helmsman. Yeah, that is the example. So this is what the reality is. So unless we have a proper boatman, mm, so neither we can have stones in the boat, neither we can have a boat with a rudder on. Means we have to take out when the boat starts, ship starts. You have to take out the rudder, and then you need to have a proper boatman, captain, especially on an ocean. So material world is compared with the ocean. So you need a proper experienced, that is spiritual master who is experienced, who knows, who has in communication with Supreme Lord, who knows how to cross over and take others with them, cross them, help them to cross. So that's why we must take. And to those persons who take shelter of you, you reveal yourself as a super soul, the embodiment of all transcendental pleasure. What further use have such devotees for their servants, children or bodies, their wives, money or houses, their land, good health or conveyances? And for those who fail to appreciate the truth about you and go on pursuing the pleasures, sex, and what could there be in this entire world, a place inherently doomed to destruction and devoid of significance that could give them real happiness? Strong statements again. So this is because this is that's why Vedas, Shrutis personified, were able to enter into the rasa relationship with the Supreme Lord, Krishna especially. It is not possible otherwise, unless they understood the real reality. Sages from free from false pride live on this earth by frequenting the sacred pilgrimage sites and those places where the Supreme Lord displayed his pastime. Because such devotees keep your lotus feet within their hearts, and the water that washes their feet destroys all sins. Anyone who even once turns his mind toward you, the ever blissful soul of all existence, no longer dedicates himself to serving a family life at home, who simply robs a man of his good qualities. So one must serve the spiritual master. One must serve the sages and the realized souls, not those who are artificially wearing the saffron robes. No, that's not what they are talking about. They are talking about those who are completely on the platform nishkincha. That means they completely renounced everything for the service of the Lord. They are completely using everything for the service of the Lord. Renounced all the material aspects, renounced the negativity, renounced the sense gratification. It may be proposed that this world is permanently real because it is generated from permanent reality. But such an argument is subject to logical refutation. Sometimes, indeed, the apparent non-difference of a cause and effects fails to prove true, and other times, product of something real is illusory. Furthermore, this world cannot be permanently real, for it partakes of the natures of not only the absolute reality but also the illusion disguising as that reality. Actually, the visible forms of this world are just imaginary arrangements resorted to by a succession of ignorant persons in order to facilitate their material affairs. With their various meanings and implications, the learned words of your Vedas bewilder all persons whose minds have been dulled by hearing the incantations of sacrificial rituals. Yes, there are so many rituals. Vedavadarata Partha, Nanyasti Vadina, third chapter, second chapter, third chapter talks about. We're allured by these rituals and sacrifices. You get this benefit, you get that benefit, you engage in this igna, that igna, that's that. So that's what they are talking about. Since this universe did not exist prior to its creation and will no longer exist after its annihilation, we conclude that in the interim it is nothing more than the manifestation imagined to be visible within you, whose spiritual enjoyment never changes. We liken this universe to be the transformation of various material substances into diverse forms. Certainly, those who believe that this figment of imagination is substantially real or less intelligent, substantially real or less intelligent. So basically, yeah, there is no, it is not permanent. This is not reality either. It is a temporary, it is a perverted reflection. That's what it is. It's not false, so it is temporary. That's what some say the Jagan Mithya. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. That's not correct though. Means it is true. We do have the body. That we cannot say body is false. We do have, yes. We are not the body. That is correct. But body itself is real. Means it is not false. We are able to see the body. That's why we are wearing the dress. The shirt and pant has its hands and legs. The illusory material nature attracts the minute living entity to embrace her, and as a result, he assumes forms composed of her qualities. Subsequently, he loses all his spiritual qualities, must undergo repeated deaths. You, however, avoid the material energy in the same way that a snake abandons its old skin. Glorious in your possession of eight mystic perfections, you enjoy unlimited opulences. This is talking about whatever Lord does, even when he marries 16,108, or whatever the activity may be, Lord does, everywhere it is glorious. Yogic perfections. You can compare with even, I think, Chaya or Muni, he married eight queens and he expanded eight places. But that doesn't mean he is equal to the Supreme Lord. His expansion is only he expanded, but in reality, he is not able to perform different activities in each and every place. He couldn't do it. He tried it, but he couldn't do because that is only possible with the Supreme Lord. 16,108. There are 100, those many palaces are there. Those many activities were there. Each and every place Narada Muni went. Each and every place he is doing different activity, not the same activity. Physically, the Supreme Lord was there as a individual person. Each and every place is expanded. That is why he's called Yogeswara. He is the he is the in charge of the whole system of this mystic perfection. All others, whether you call Siddhas, Charanas, Gandharvas, all those are in this planet. There are also some of them are mystic perfection, but nothing compared to the Supreme Lord because He is the creator of that whole system. It is material. What is found in this material world from these personalities, all material. This is the last verse. So this is the important verse. I think 39, one more verse is there. Then we'll end. Members of the renounced order who fail to uproot. Yeah, this 39 and 40 is important. This is what it comes down to. 39. Members of the renounced order who fail to uproot the lost traces of the material desire in their hearts remain impure and thus You do not allow them to understand you. Although you are present within their hearts, for them you are like a jewel worn around the neck of a man who has totally forgotten it is there. O Lord, those who practice yoga only for sense gratification must suffer punishment both in this life and next from death, who will not release them, and from you, whose kingdom they cannot reach. So that's why it's very, very important. This purport is also very important. Yeah, verse number 40. Then, and yeah, when a person realizes you, he has no longer cares about his good and bad fortunes arising from past pious and sinful acts, since it is you alone who control its good and bad fortunes. Such a realized devotee also disregards what ordinary living beings say about him. Every day he fills his ears with your glories, which are recited in each age by the unbroken succession of Manu's descendant. Thus, you become his ultimate salvation. So, yes, this is in the disciplic succession. So, coming down, so this transcendental knowledge. So, that's what it is, as you can understand. How Vedas, Shrutis personified, are explaining about this aspects of the condensing the whole, the Supreme Lord and his features of this material world, the creation is, yeah, create about this material relation between the Supreme Lord and Jiva and the material world Prakriti is being explained in condensed form in their conversation. That is being retold to Narada Muni and retold to Parikshit Maharaj by Sukadeva Goswami. So this is very in relation with these 6 or 7 verses we read today from Bhagavad Gita chapter 5. Karma Yoga, action, Krishna consciousness. So the essence is not become bogi, not become tyagi, become seva, become sevite, servant of the Supreme Lord. Use it. Don't renounce anything. Everything engage in the service of the Lord. Not become market vairagya, not become falg vairagya, not become smashan vairagya, rather become yukta vairagya. Using, dovetailing everything in the service of the Supreme Lord and easier. This karma yoga, utilizing dovetailing because that is the natural characteristic of the soul. It is easier, equal to, and greater benefit is also, and it's very quick. And the jnana yoga is very difficult to perform because you renounce work, that is your natural quality of the soul, and you're renouncing, then there is no active engagement. How are you going to control your senses? Very difficult. And then on top of it, you have to remove all the proclivities in the heart. So how is it going to happen? It's very, 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 very difficult. So that is what it boils down to. This is the first section of this chapter. I'll stop here. Any questions? You can unmute yourself and ask if you have. Not, stop here. You're able to unmute yourself. You can unmute and ask if you have any questions. No questions? Okay, stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Gandhara, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Tomorrow, Shri Gopal